Oh, wow. And we're on different sides now. Okay, I am Kristen Gutierrez. Welcome to Thursday's edition of the Confident Leadership Series. I am your host. I'm so excited to introduce you to my guest, Caleb Spittler, today. I am a best-selling author of Be a Better Sales Leader, an international keynote speaker, and I love helping leaders climb the corporate ladder through a two-prong approach to personal branding, which is both their internal executive presence and their external thought leadership. But enough about me. Caleb, welcome, welcome, welcome. And tell us about you.
Well, thanks, Kristen. Such an honor to be here. And I love this topic. I love talking about leadership, specifically talking about how we communicate as leaders. I've never considered myself to be the most, the brightest person or the smartest person. But because I've studied the art and science of communication, I've had the privilege to speak all over the country at events like TEDx, associations, retreats, business conferences, businesses, like I said, really throughout the entire country. And so, this is such an important topic and one that's near and dear to my heart.
Yes, yes, yes. You are everywhere. And it is really an honor getting to know you these past, I don't know, year or two, couple of years, right? So helping leaders gain influence through public speaking. And why I love this topic is, well, I continuously have to learn how to be a better speaker. And again, I truly think that thought leadership, part of that is the influence you have as putting yourself out there as a subject matter expert and speaking. It could be on podcasts, LinkedIn Lives, webinars, or on stage. So, yeah, how do we get started? Or what's the art and science of grooming your confidence? I'm so curious. What's your ninja strategy?
Well, I think taking a step back and even looking at communication in general, I mean, I really believe that communication makes the world go around, whether it's your relationships, your marriage, or your relationship with your kids, whoever the people that you're surrounded are by, words were probably involved. If things are going well, it was probably due to words. If things aren't going well, words were probably involved, right? Same with our businesses. If we want to increase our influence, the words that you speak are going to be the things that either build up your business or tear down your business. And especially if you're not a one-man show, but if you want to have a team around you, are you able to inspire your team? Are you able to, like you and I, we've gotten paid to speak, which is amazing. People pay us thousands of dollars for a 45-minute talk. Or if you want to get your products and services out there, an amazing way to grow your business is by putting yourself out there and speaking. And so, again, I never think of myself as the best speaker in the world, but there are some things that we as leaders can do to become better communicators. And I think the problem is most leaders already think they're pretty good communicators. So most leaders I talk to will say something like, yeah, I'm a good public speaker. Just tell me how to get on more stages. And I always want to take a step back with them and say, okay, you're a good public speaker, but are you a great public speaker? Because the secret to getting on more stages is actually being a phenomenal public speaker. Because there's a lot of speakers that are 6 out of 10 speakers or 7 out of 10 speakers, but you really start to separate yourself when you go from being a good communicator to a great communicator. And so that's what I want to dive into today and chat more about.
I mean, I'm all ears. I'm like, tell me more. What's the secret sauce? I've seen you speak, right? And I mean, you had a standing ovation. It was amazing. Because I also know, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say, but like part of me and like a lot of conversations you and I have had behind the scenes, it's like practice, 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 practice. I don't want to give it away, but there's got to be a component, just like an athlete, just like Kobe Bryant becoming Kobe Bryant, that you have to practice. And platforms like this are great to practice, podcasts and stages for free. or industry conferences, right? Where you might do the day job. But anyway, it's like, how do you refine that? But tell me, let's dive in. I mean, what's
Well, yeah, 100%. I mean, you happen to hear potentially one of the better talks that I've given, but I've had way more talks that were meh. There's so many times when I finished a talk, I'm giving let's say a talk in Las Vegas or Albuquerque or wherever, New Orleans. And afterwards I go to cocktail hour, and because people are nice, they say, "Hey, that was good talk you had there. Some really helpful tips and tricks." And it's like something dies in your soul in that moment when you're like, I just poured my heart out on stage. And here you are saying, some helpful tips and tricks. And I'm like, no, I don't speak for helpful tips and tricks. Like, I speak to change the world. I want people to say that was transformational. I'll never think about that subject the same way again. And so the
yes.
beautiful thing about speaking, especially when you're getting paid to speak, is the marketplace tells you. And people can tell you, hey, great job, you're a really good speaker. Again, so many speakers will say, I always get really good feedback after my talk. Well, yeah, because people are nice. Like if I come up to you after your talk, or if let's say you come up to me after my talk and we're the only two standing there and I just finished a talk, whether or not you think it was a good talk, you're going to say nice things.
Yeah.
The way you know if you've truly given a great talk is if people say, my people need this. What's it going to take for me to get you to come speak to our people? Or, hey, that was incredible. We're doing another conference here this spring. Would you be willing to come speak to that again? And so I think the speaking business is so referral based. If you speak to a room of 300, 400, 500 people, you maybe have 50 other people in the room that have the ability to bring you in. So don't just be a good speaker, be a great speaker, knock their socks off. And you're absolutely right. It just takes putting in the reps, being really honest with yourself that, again, just because you're receiving positive feedback, that's not the standard. You need to ask yourself, every time I speak, am I getting more opportunities? Because if you're a great speaker, people will give you more opportunities. If you're not getting more opportunities after you speak, then you still need to go back to the drawing board. You got some more work to do.
I'll never forget my first keynote experience. It was only about a year ago, and it was exactly that, right? It was like, okay, that was good. And I wasn't in the industry, but a lot of the speakers there were. And it was just a constant uphill battle after I got off stage to try to build those relationships even more, because now my talk didn't blow their socks off, and I'm like an outsider because I'm not in their industry. So
Yes.
What you're saying there really resonates.
Yes.
Do you follow a framework, right? Because, that's one thing that I've been trying to learn through a mentor that we both know very near and dear to our heart, where she teaches me how to structure the talk. And that's something for me, what is it on stage? Is it your personality, your emotion? Is it your voice, the way you talk? And also, it's got to be part of how you lay the talk out, right, to really resonate. So do you have any strategies or tactics on what makes a good talk? So obviously, okay, good to go from good to great, but what is that?
Well, let's talk about how you lay out a talk. And this is primarily for a keynote, although it can be used for lots of different types of talks. But I call these the foundational four. They're the four things that you absolutely have to get. There's so many different ways that people can deliver a talk and it can still land. There's so many different ways that you can start a talk and it can still land. But if you don't do these four things, you will destroy your talk. You absolutely, no matter who you are as a speaker, you have to nail these four things. First one, you have to connect them to the problem. So I don't want to listen to you unless I have a problem that you can solve for me. You can be the smartest person in the world on, I don't know, fixing cars or something, and I don't care. If you're saying, hey, this is, my presentation on XYZ, and I don't feel personally connected to that problem, I'm already tuned out. And I think we make the mistake of thinking that we have a captive audience. Oftentimes we don't. We have a they're somewhat interested audience, but we want to increase their desire. Before we give them the solution, we want to really make them feel the problem. So by the time I finish my intro, I want them on the edge of their seats saying, oh my goodness, stop telling me about the problem. Freaking give me the solution already. And so I want them to know the cost, like the actual financial cost. If they don't implement my solution, I want them to know the pain that they're going to feel of the relational damage if they don't implement my solution. I want them to just feel so much pain if they don't do it and so much pleasure if they do it, that they know the problem before we get into it. So that's number one. You have to know the problem.
Yes. You want them to put their phones away is what I was going to say, because we're all on our phones all the time. And maybe we're taking pictures of you on stage and, tweeting them or putting them on X or whatever, right? But like, nope. Then the next notification comes in and we're like, I'm tuning Caleb out because it's not interesting. So yes, define the problem and get us on the edge of our seats.
100%. I was speaking at an event in Las Vegas. There was maybe 900 seats in the room with maybe 98 people in them. So there was people scattered across this massive room, not the ideal, scenario to be speaking in. There was maybe more people than that, but they all had their laptops up, they're sending emails. People are walking in and out of the room. We're in Las Vegas. I'm one of the last speakers. So most of the people are out drinking and gambling. There's a few people that are I'm going to stick out the conference. And, so it's in those first 10 minutes, I needed to win them over. Before I was able to even give my talk, I needed to let them know this is a talk worth listening to. And it was really cool because as I kind of got into my intro, I just saw the laptop shutting around the room, and I saw people leaning forward, and I saw people start to laugh. And it was okay, I got them. I'm not going to move on until I got them, and until we you can't start the journey until you say, are we all in the car together? This is where we're going. Let's go somewhere together. So have to establish the problem. One. Second thing you have to do is you have to establish your credibility. Mm-hmm. So if you are interested and you say, okay, Kristen, I'm on the edge of my seat. I do want to be a better sales leader, but why are you the best person to help me be a better sales leader? And so if you don't have credibility, and this is what we see on social media, everybody's, an expert on everything. And you're well, how come I only got 3 likes and, Alex Hormozi got 100 likes? He said the same thing. Well, Alex Hormozi has made $100 million. So because he has credibility, he now has the right to bring a solution. So I think establishing the problem and establishing your credibility has to come before. You haven't earned the right yet to give them a solution until you've established those 2 things.
I love it. Keep going. What's number 3?
Number 3, you have to solve a problem for them. And I think this is extremely important for, we've all been on the webinars where people say, we're going to solve this problem for you. And they just tease you and they pitch you their product. And you're people judge you on your free stuff. So your free stuff better actually create a transformation for them. So let's say that there's 4 or 5 problems that you solve. Right now for me, I can help you get clarity on your topic. I can help you write your talk. I can help you land a speaking engagement. I can help you deliver your talk, and I can help you sell from the stage. So I would break up those 5 problems, and I would give a talk on just how to write a great talk. And I'll give you that one for free. So if you attend my whatever event, you can have that one. But then when people say, wow, if Caleb does this for free, what else can he do? And then people come to you and say, how can we work together? And you say, great, here's how we can work together. So you do actually have to create a transformation for people. So feel free to give away your best stuff, whether it's on a webinar or a podcast. I don't like to hold things back because I found that if you actually solve a problem for somebody, then they want to enter into your world.
I love this, right? I mean, I don't know where I was on the spectrum of loving this before 2022, But when I lost my job on April 17th of 2023, and I leaned all the way into my expertise, and I really took what I had learned from our mentors to heart, I just gave everything away for free. And people would say, stop giving it away. But I channeled the abundance mindset, and I master classes and free worksheets and chapters of my book and just so much stuff. I would like, I mean, there's a part where I've learned that it's probably not one of your 4 foundations, because it's like you can't pack everything into everything, right? So like it's not holding things back. It's just people can only absorb so much information in a given time frame. And that is actually something I'm still trying to learn. I was just rewatching a webinar I did for an association because we were editing it. And I'm like, wow, my slides, they're great. And I was listening to it on 2X. But like I didn't touch on all of the topics on the slides. And I know why I did that. But like it's also like even then, and I tried to scale back a lot. I'm trying to get better, right? But there was still too much stuff in that deck or for me to tackle that just couldn't be accomplished in an hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I love the idea of number 3 being actionable strategies that they can implement, the transformation, and give it all away. I love it. I love it.
Absolutely. And I think it's way better to go deep on one topic than it is to try to like give them a little taste of all 5 topics. So if you speak on prospecting, closing, follow-up, inspiring your sales team, I would encourage speakers out there to break up the problem you solve into 4 or 5 sub problems and say, okay, today we're just going to focus on this one problem. So go deep and really solve prospecting for them. And then that's going to create more problems for them because they're going to say, well, now I can prospect, but I can't close deals at a high, at a high rate. So that's how I encourage speakers to do is don't dabble, like pick one thing and really solve that thing for them. And then they'll come back to you for the other problems.
Yeah. And Tracy's watching, and Tracy says, definitely relate that you need to earn the trust. It's
Yes.
sums up, you need to earn the trust. I love it.
Absolutely.
Okay, Caleb, what is number 4? Give it to us.
Number 4 is you have to, and this is all throughout. So the other 3 are kind of in order where you establish the problem, establish your credibility, and you solve the problem. That's a simple framework for writing a talk. But all throughout that talk, you have to make them feel it. So we've sat through a talk where it's, maybe it's the idea of this professor that is brilliant, gives you this talk, but it's boring. Like action is what actually emotion is what moves people to action. And so that's where the stories comes in. That's where the humor comes in. That's where the illustrations comes in. That's where tonality comes in. That's where we vary our voice. Sometimes we talk loud and fast. Other times we get quiet. We lean in and we say, can you feel this point that I'm making? So we want to have variation in our voice. For me, almost all of us have a default. For me, I like to talk loud and fast all the time, which is not good. It's still monotone. So I have to remember, slow down sometimes, pause, let them feel it. So all throughout your speech, I want to create an emotional experience. I want to take them on an emotional journey. I do not want them saying, that was good. I can go regurgitate that information to my team. I want them saying, no, I experienced the Caleb Spittler talk. There's no way I could go recreate that for my team. I need you to go give that to them. I'm not just giving you information. I'm giving you experience. That's what makes me different. Because if you just have good information, why not send an email to the conference? Hey, here's an email with all my information. No, you can't get just the information. Like, I need Kristen. We need Kristen to come because she's going to create a transformational experience that people feel. So those are the 4 things. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, but you have to nail all 4 of those things.
I mean, listen, I have taken a bunch of notes because this is so good. I love you, and I wish I could learn from you every hour of every day because I think you just have such a gift, and I'm so grateful for this. This is really, I have a keynote coming up in March in Lima, Peru. And so I've been thinking about, and I changed the topic. I changed the title recently to make it a little bit more sizzly, but nonetheless, like how to deliver it and how to break it down and how to really, with an international audience, right? Now we have a language barrier as well. So how to speak the language without so fast. But yeah, you've given me a lot to think about in terms of problem, credibility, solving that problem through the actionable strategies, and then feeling it. I love it. The experience of, right? Leave them inspired and motivated and wanting to bring you back. Is there any closing thoughts, or because we're kind of coming out of time due to our technical difficulties at the start? So what do you want to leave us with to wrap this up?
Well, first off, just thank you for your kind words. You're such an inspiring leader yourself, and we've become great friends in that way. Where I love you as well. Love everything that you're doing. So it's an honor, it's an inspiration to be connected to you in that way. One quick thing I would say is just all throughout our lives, we get these things. So I collect these things in my phone. So I actually have these 4 categories listed in my phone. And anytime I come across something where I think, wow, that emphasizes the problem, or that emphasizes the solution, or that's a really funny story, how can I tie that in? I might have a list of 30 stories in my phone that are related to one of those 4 things. So in any given time, if I'm on a podcast or if I'm speaking, I can think, what's the story that this audience is most going to resonate with? Sometimes I'll finish a speech and I think, oh, there's no humor in here. Where can I pull one of my funny stories? And I pull up this list of funny stories. So I would encourage people to not just make a keynote kind of a one-off thing, but it's a lifestyle. A keynote speaker is a lifestyle of a keynote speaker. And so if you want to be a great storyteller, if you want to be a great communicator, you have to collect those things. I'm always looking for those things in my life where I think, oh, I can fit that into a keynote. But do it. Do whatever it takes to grow your communication skills. It will pay you time and time again. You get to travel to cool places like Peru.
Well, and also, but like, and be so humble to be willing to hear what somebody else is doing, because I too, I have death by notes in my phone, and I've somewhat categorized it, but I haven't done it in that way. And so as a result, I've got sticky, or the note, I've got 100 notes, right? So I love your idea, and maybe you're not doing it the way you just simplified it truly, but I'm going to do that, like a note for problem, a note for story, a note for this, a note for that. And then that way it's all collected and easier to find. And now we're more organized. And I love the advice of going to comedy shows to refine and hone the craft of being a public speaker. I never drew that analogy until I heard it. And now I like to go to comedy shows to watch like what's hitting, because I never realized being a speaker should include that element of humor, and that plays to your point of experiencing it. So
absolutely.
Caleb, I'm going to do something so bold and you're going to love it. I'm going to ask you to pray for us while we wrap this up, if you're open to that, and then we'll say adios.
100%. I am up for that. Yeah, I don't know if Kristen mentioned, but when I'm not traveling the world speaking, I have a little local church community here that I help lead as well. So always an honor to do that. God created the world through public speaking, and we are made in his image. So God, I do pray for all the communicators out there. I pray that you would bless them. I pray for favor on all the listeners listening to this, whether they believe in God or not. I pray that you would put favor over their business. I pray that you would teach us how to be better communicators. You're the ultimate communicator, God. So we love you, Jesus. We pray these things in your name. Amen.
And we just prayed on LinkedIn. That's amazing. Thank you. And YouTube and all the places. Thank you so much, Caleb, for joining me today. This is truly an honor. And everyone who's watching from my side of the world, please connect with Caleb and invite him to speak at your events. Thank you so much.